Hoosier Nation, what's up? Jeff and Ben here. Hoosier Court, Indiana basketball podcast. Indiana loses 73-64 to Oregon. They moved to 18-12 and 9-10. In the conference, Ben, we were riding high 3 in a row, and looked like a game that Indiana was going to be right there. They had the lead with just a couple 64-63 with just a couple minutes to go, and Oregon went on a 10-0 run and finished the game. Disappointing, but again, we wanted the split on the West Coast. What are your initial thoughts?
I thought, for a road game, they played tough. They looked like they ran out of gas towards the end. That's kind of what I was getting at. I mean, we tried to run the Trey Galloway, where the Ballo screens and then he lobs it to him, but we went to that well one too many times. And Dana Altman's a good coach, and they stole it. Give it hats off to what's his name? Shellstad.
Yeah.
I mean, his 30-foot dagger.
35 footer. Yeah. Tough shot. When I saw him shoot it, I sunk my head in my hand. I was like, that's going in. And it did. And, ultimately, right, this has happened to Indiana too many times. This is why they're in the position that they're in, squarely on the bubble, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But, they've had game after game after game, and insert Purdue or Michigan or Maryland or this one added to the list. Ends up being a 9-point loss, and it really should have been a possession.
Yeah, if you bet on that game, you're real sad because they should have easily covered.
Yeah. And there's no shame in that loss. Road game against Oregon, they're playing as well as anybody probably in the league, and that's a team that's getting hot at the right time. And quite frankly, I would prefer not. I'd rather play Illinois in the conference tournament than Oregon. And we'll talk about the standings.
Did you see the game versus Illinois?
First time, whatever.
I don't want it.
That's a different.
I don't want any part of that.
Okay, you don't want that smoke.
I don't want that smoke.
But let's talk a little bit of positives here. I mean, the loss stings. I mean, where does this leave Indiana first and foremost, right? We'll talk about that in a second. The positives from the game, I don't know. I mean, Trey Galloway, I thought he had a pretty solid. Mike, can we talk about this? I'm not one to blame officials, but Mike Woodson, he had a little profanity-laced tirade after the game, which I love. And at least sticking up for his team, he's like, 21-7 on free throws. That can't happen. And they outscored Indiana by 16 at the free throw line. And don't get me wrong, Indiana's had plenty of benefit over the years of getting more free throws than the opponents, even making more than they take. But it seemed like a discrepancy. There was a lot of contact. I mean, I texted you. I was like, they're fouling this. And I'm not somebody that complains about the officials. It's like they're fouling the shit out of them.
I honestly don't think we complain about the officials very much in this spot. There were some questionable calls. That guy pushed he pushed the wheel 20 feet, and they called a foul on him. Was that
No, that was Rice, the offensive foul. I mean, It was a 2-point game. We were leading, and, that should have been going the other way. And hey, it is what it is with that. But I just, I don't want to be, I don't think you ever hear us talk about the officials. But the Big Ten officials, they're horrible. That's why the Big Ten doesn't do well in the tournament traditionally, because there's no consistency, and it's just it's disappointing. And I think, I appreciate Woodson saying something and having it on record going into his last game against Ohio State. But I don't want to talk about that game yet because that'll get me back excited. I didn't have a lot of energy coming in tonight, Ben. I didn't have a lot of energy because they lost last night. We didn't want to go late. It was like midnight before we could actually get around to it. But yeah, I thought Galloway was really, really pretty damn good in 31 minutes, 16 points, 4 assists, no issues. Leal, I thought, played some pretty strong defense. Shellstad's a stud, straight up. He won the game for him. Yeah. TJ Bamba killed us on the defensive end. But if you got a long, athletic wing guard and your point guard, they can put their hands all over them. What do you want? I mean, tip your cap, I guess. But I can't be positive too long.
But I mean, I'd say Camden Carlisle actually played pretty good last night for him. That was pretty good performance.
I mean, it's probably his best game he's had. He made 3 shots that I did not. I mean, it's
and he got fouled on that one.
Have you seen the GIF of the kid? He's at the Ravens game and he's like, oh, okay. Like when it goes in, like that's what it was with Carlisle. And I'll give him credit. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. If we can get 17 minutes from Caden Carlisle with 8 points off the bench, no turnovers, couple rebounds, and I have no problem with that. I can't count on that though. But if we get it, and I want to talk about somebody we can't count on right now.
Miles Rice.
Well, he's one, but let's start with Mackenzie Mbaka. 2 for 10. I mean, you just can't. I mean, defensively, it's just not there. I can't count on him.
I think we've talked about this. You got to get him and this is coaching. You got to get him an easy bucket early. You got to keep him engaged. It's sad, but a lot of things are sad. But you got to keep him engaged. You got to give him an easy bucket early. None of this fade away from 25-foot bullshit that he does.
Yeah, let's stop with the back down fadeaway like you're Kevin Durant here in Baca. Like you're not hitting it. Like I don't know. I mean, I don't want to beat them up too much. Like, hey, they put themselves in this position, but you know that game that was there for the taking. I mean, Luke Goody, he was kind of struggling. Miles Rice, I don't know. Like this team. They can't have Miles Rice and Mackenzie Mbaka be 3 for 17 from the floor. Like, what is that? And some of these shots are wide. Like Rice is missing wide open 15-footers at the elbow. Like it's wide open.
The only shot he can make now is the corner 3 somehow.
Corner 3 or gets to the rim.
Yeah,
gets to the rim like something. I don't. But that 3 of 17. Rice did have 4 assists. He had a couple turnovers. And Mbaka didn't have a turnover, made both of his free throws. But just overall, if you've got a night where, even Luke Goody, 2 of 6. So if you take those 3, you're relying on to get scoring, that's 5 for 23. That's not going to get it done. I mean, I'm honestly shocked that we were in the game.
I was actually shocked. They did miss a lot of threes last night. I will say that they could have made one thing that's between a winning team and a losing team is free throws and free throw percentage. And we had one team that shot 90%, and then we got one team that shot 42.9%. Which team do you think won?
Well, if we could have taken 21, we would have at least hit let's say like 9.
10.
So 9 or 10. So we would have been right there. But yeah, I mean, and in Oregon, I think they're percentage-wise the best free throw shooting team in the Big Ten. So are right there at the top. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't happy about that, but yeah, I just if this team wants to do anything against Ohio State and in the Big Ten tournament in Indianapolis, right, and then potentially in a postseason game, whether that's I mean, I don't even want to get into playing in the Crown or the NIT or anything like that. I think it's NCAA or bust for this team. But Rice, like I'm not worried about Goody. Like he was in some foul trouble early. Like I just don't think he could get in the flow. Did you see Goody after the game though? Right as soon as the horn went off, him say something to the official. Did you see that?
No.
It's smart. He waited until it was zeros on the clock. And he says something to the officials and he waved his hand and the official goes to talk to Goody and the other official cuts him off and they walk off. So very smart, Luke, to get your words in there of it's after the buzzer sounds, you're not getting a technical, you're not causing any more problems. But Miles Rice, Mackenzie Mbaka, those are guys, Caden Carlisle, those are guys that depending on who the next coach is, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a second too, is those are those guys you want. Like, I mean, those guys have some ability. They have some talent. There's something there, in my opinion. And, Malik Renew, 4 of 12. So just take those 4 guys that I listed off. I mean, that's 9 of 35. And we shot 40% and they shot 25. So Ballo and Galloway and Leal 2 for 2. Like, those are the guys that carried you. And, those 4, like, that's why you've been getting better play from a few of those guys, and it just didn't have it last night.
Well, I mean, we are starting 4. Our starting lineup is about 22 years old.
They're older than the OKC Thunder. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Our starting lineup is older than OKC Thunder.
Good.
Which, whatever. Like, I mean, I don't care. Like, that's college basketball now. But, it looked like last game, long road trip, coming off. I get it. I do get it. Like, I do. Like, I actually give them credit for being right there at the end, and it just kind of fell apart late. I wish they wouldn't have fouled a couple more times to just, let's lose by 5 or 7. I didn't have money on it, but the 9-point loss looks way worse than 4 or 5 to me. So, anything else on Oregon before we talk about what's coming up on Saturday?
I'm going to go on record on I would only really care about one guy coming back next year. Renaud.
Who is that?
Renaud. The rest of them, I mean, Miles Rice has been worthless. Carlisle hasn't been great. And now that we pay players, like, why are we paying them?
Yeah, those are guys that are eligible to come back, and there could be conversations. The next coach, like, what can they get out of them? Goody could come back. I think he has one more year. He's kind of in a Trey Galloway situation where he could. I hope he does. I would take him back. I would take Luke Goody back next year. I don't care how old he is. No, if he's got eligibility, let's go. But so, Indiana loses, right? They got Ohio State coming in, and I don't know if you caught the end of the Ohio State game, but since we didn't go live after the game last night, I watched the end of Ohio State, Nebraska, and you talk about like that game was nuts. Nebraska, they're pretty much done, I think, unless they win the Big Ten tournament. I think you can kind of count them out of the tournament. I would say they're on the outside looking in, but this sets up a game that has a lot of implications for Indiana, right? Both of them are 9-10 in the league. Indiana has the tiebreaker over Ohio State head-to-head right now, but really you want to win that game. It gives you a bye in the first day of the tournament, right? Gives you a bye in that first day to ensure that you don't have to play in the 10 through 15 seeds, right? So you're kind of in that boat. Indiana's in an elimination chamber game against Ohio State. Your thoughts?
But I almost wonder if it'd be better to not be in the 8-9 game and to not have the bye, so then we can get one more win. Have we thought about that?
Well, I was looking at that, and the only way that can happen at this point is losing on Saturday, which would not be what you want.
Mm.
There's really no way at this point, because we're recording this on Michigan. Also, by the way, Dusty May lost again. Maybe you should have gotten out of there, Dusty. I'm just saying, you had an opportunity. There wasn't even a full arena there. But beside the point, I don't think there's a way Indiana can not play in the 8-9 game unless they lose on Saturday. I think you got to win,
and
right?
We don't want to lose on Saturday. Yeah. So, yeah. You put yourself in these positions. I mean, it's not like we didn't put ourselves
the Indiana
in this position. You know what I'm saying? We had plenty of chances to not be in this position.
Yeah. And it's also, hopefully everybody can hear me and everything's good on this, because it says my Wi-Fi is unstable, although I'm looking at it and everything's good. So it's kind of like my life, my sports life. It's unstable. So if this doesn't work, or, let us know in the chat, whatever. But yeah, Indiana's in the 9th spot. Minnesota is losing to Wisconsin. That's the only team. Yeah.
It's time to get rid of that Boost Mobile.
What's that?
We got to get rid of that Boost Mobile. We got to upgrade.
This is not. I'm paying top dollar Spectrum here, son. This is top dollar, but it's Indiana. The worst they can have is 11 losses in the Big Ten. If Minnesota loses tonight, Indiana can go no lower than 10. So, but that would put them in a 10-15 matchup. I mean, is a win on neutral against USC going to do anything for you?
I mean, it's another win.
Yeah. Well, the chat tells me I'm a little blurry online in real life. Well, it's probably best for anything. So, Ben, you take the wheel. Give us some thoughts. I'm not trying to work on some troubleshooting here. Take the wheel And give us some thoughts on Indiana Ohio State elimination chamber match on Sunday, like a John Cena type of situation.
Well, we all know who Ohio State's best player is. It's Bruce Thornton. At least I think it's Bruce Thornton. And then I guess Leo will probably be guarding him, right?
Yeah, I'm working on Wi-Fi connection over here, bro. I mean, you take the wheel. Tell us about Bruce Thornton. He's the guy.
Ohio State, Nebraska was 116 to 114.
I told you. I was texting you double OT, man.
Oh, I fell asleep in that. Huh. Wow. I didn't know it got that crazy. Huh. Yeah, but Bruce Thornton's a baller. He just can't. I mean, I just give him 3-point shots. He can't shoot the three.
Huh.
Yeah, he had 29. He had 29 points and 9 assists. I tell you, who one of the most underrated players in the Big Ten is that Bryce Williams guy that Nebraska has. I mean, he put up 43 and 6. He kicked our ass. I'm sure you remember. I'm sure you remember that.
He did, and hey, I mean, it is what it is. But you know, in a day, the Wi-Fi's rocking here. I don't know what StreamYard's talking about, but we're rolling here. So yeah, Indiana's in an elimination chamber, right? We got, this is Mike Woodson's last game at Assembly Hall.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
It's his last game. It's senior day. He wants to go. You got to send him out on top. And looking at the metrics, right? Like this is a game Indiana has to win. You look at University of Cincinnati, right? A bubble team, a little lower down they had a game tonight at home against Kansas State, a game they had to win. And they needed a lot more help than Indiana, and they lost on senior day by 5, right? So if Indiana wants, to put themselves in the best position possible, win on Saturday, see how everything else plays out. Then you're playing most likely Thursday at noon in Indianapolis against either Oregon or Illinois is the way it looks right now. I don't think unless UCLA loses their last game, I don't think there's any way there. So if I had to guess, it's going to be Indiana and Oregon. No, I think Purdue beats Illinois at Illinois and Oregon wins at Washington. They move up to the 7. Illinois drops down to the 8. I think Indiana beats Ohio State, and I'm standing on business. I'm saying Indiana wins by double figures against Ohio State and sends Woody out in style. That's standing on business.
Hey, we do have 17 seniors on this team that, it's senior day.
I mean, you love to take a swipe at somebody's age on this team. How many years they've been.
I just think it's funny that our starting roster's older than the Thunder. It could be the NBA.
Yeah,
Luka Doncic is younger than some guys on our team.
Yeah, I mean, I get you. But that's college basketball, and we got a little chat conversation about the coaches, Harpoon Bakery. We'll get to you in just a second. But so I think Indiana wins on Saturday, and they put themselves in the best position possible. Looking at the metrics here. So bracket matrix, right? So if you're familiar with this, if it's like it's anything we've said on this show, Indiana's 18-12. What are we familiar with, Ben? What's the record in 19-12? Indiana's familiar being right there. Right now, I mean, this bubble is about as weak as I remember since the 68 team for sure. I mean, you're looking at there's 118 predicted brackets on Bracket Matrix. Indiana's in 116 of them with an average seed of 10.9. So if they win Saturday, I think that puts them at least – they'd have 2 wins head-to-head over Ohio State. That gives them at least the opportunity to be in Dayton. Is that a fair statement? I mean, here's the teams, right there with them. Arkansas, Ohio State, Nebraska, Oklahoma's actually beaten Missouri tonight. That's probably at home. That's going to help them. So, I mean, then the other teams are Xavier, Boise State, North Carolina, Texas. Cincinnati's out of there. They just lost tonight at home. Like, it's pretty weak.
How about Maryland? They've been on a tear.
Maryland's Final Four good. I think Maryland, Wisconsin are Final Four good. Yeah, I mean, I think both those teams from the Big Ten, I don't know about Purdue. I don't trust them in the tournament. Michigan State, I don't know they shoot it well enough, but we really want Missouri to come back and beat Oklahoma here.
I tell you who's doing really good for themselves, and maybe we should be taking a look at is Todd Golden, because he's kicking some ass in Florida.
Well, he ain't afraid to get in a little controversy down there at Florida. I don't know if you followed Todd Golden, but
he stalking somebody.
What he investigated for like online porn or something like that?
Well, I mean, if he's investigated for online porn, I mean, I think 99%.
Well, I'm not saying like, I'm saying is he investigated for like sending like unsolicited, I want to know, like, somebody tell me, help me out here. This is when I need Breeze the most is what did Todd Golden do? He's all good, but he did something wrong. He reportedly unwanted sexual advances and stalked women on Instagram. Can we just hire somebody that's not like, there's not any like, allegations of abuse or, hey, like, can we just like,
those guys, those guys don't win.
I mean, Todd Golden, what's he won?
Todd Golden
He's having a good year this year.
Todd Golden is on fire with this team.
All right. Well, let's get into the coaching conversation. So Harpoon Bakery says Dusty May's lost some critical games, and so has TJ Otzelberger, 3 of his last 4. He lost a tough one last night. Otzelberger did against BYU, who's really hot right now. Are they the right coaches for IU? So, Ben, your thoughts on Harpoon Bakery's question here, specifically around Dusty May and TJ Otzelberger? Are we maybe, kind of a blessing in disguise that they're struggling here?
Well, I mean, I don't know why. I mean, Dusty's not coming here, so that's out. I think TJ is still a good coach, and he's struggling right now. But there's some coaches I would rather have ahead of those guys. Todd Golden being one of them. But Todd Golden,
why would you come to Indiana over Florida right now? Why would you do that? And that's not I'm not being a dick, like just the question there.
Maybe he could stalk less women over.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, the jokes write themselves in this coaching search, I'll tell you. Yeah, I mean, right now, who are the names, right? I mean, I think Indiana, good on them. They've put themselves in the position that this is not the front story, right? They've won enough games to where the fans are just like, hey, let's get into the tournament, hopefully. And now you lose to Ohio State on Sunday, that conversation completely changes, right? And that starts to get turned up. So if you want the conversation when you get to Indianapolis to be around the team in the Big Ten tournament, you stand on business on Saturday, get the win, leave no doubt, send them home happy. Saturday night in Bloomington, it's supposed to be nice weather. Like, what could be better? Like, go ahead and get that done, right? I think Woodson deserves that much, right? For all he is and isn't, let's send him out the right way. And like, if the Indiana doesn't get in after that part, then so be it, right? Then that probably means there's been plenty of bid thieves. Is that fair?
That's fair, but it just hit me.
What's that?
I think that our coach is going to be someone we haven't even talked about.
Okay.
Somebody. I don't know who it's. I don't know. I just think it's going to be. Yeah, I mean, because last Mike Woodson was. I mean, was he really even like a candidate people were considering?
He's been talked about. I mean, we were tracking that flight.
Maybe Jason Kidd wants to come here after Luka left.
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I think anybody want to get out of Dallas right now. But Will Wade, I know we talked about him a little bit, but his name's starting to pop up a little bit. I saw McNeese about they're showing up on social media. They're playing really well. Is that somebody that interests you, Will Wade?
So you're not worried about a guy stalking, but you're worried about a guy being on phone lines, paying money before you could pay people money.
I would rather somebody paying kids money to play basketball than stalking women or choking them. Yes. I'm on record of I'd rather somebody be in trouble for a white collar crime than for assault. Yes. I'm especially against women. Yes, I'm on that. And by the way, nobody's gone to jail of any of those circumstances, right? Like he lost his job.
Have any of them been even found guilty?
I mean, what's guilty anymore?
I don't know.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started on that. Don't get me started on that. But I think here's the names, right? I got me a little board here. Like Stevens and May are out. So Scott Drew, Mick Cronin, TJ Otzelberger, Ben McCollum, did I say Mick Cronin? Mick Cronin, Greg McDermott, Buzz Williams, Tommy Lloyd, Brad Brownell. I mean, Clemson's 11th in the country. And then your Chris Beard. Let's put him on there. What's Chris Beard doing right now? They're playing. They're on right now.
They're playing Tennessee.
Playing Tennessee right now.
They're down by 2.
I mean, that's the list. Like you said, there's going to be somebody that we haven't talked about before. So, is there somebody? I mean, is it a Todd Golden? Like, why would he go to Indiana over Florida right now?
I don't know.
It can't be the answer you gave. Like, I mean, yeah. Like, is there somebody out there that's, just I mean, those are the names. I mean,
Tommy Lloyd.
Yeah. Tommy Lloyd. Leave Arizona to Indiana, lateral move, colder, whatever. I mean, Scott Drew makes a lot of sense. Mick Cronin makes a lot of sense. Those are names that I like. They're probably safe hires. They both are not in, you don't Google them and the first thing that pops up is like an assault allegation or like money laundering or so like they seem like safe hires and they've won at a pretty high clip. Greg McDermott.
Yeah, but we also got to remember the guys with a little bit of red tape. The only reason why we have a shot at them is because of the red tape.
See, I don't agree with that though. Like, why should Indiana have to like lower? Like, what is?
Well, Chris Beard had one of the top jobs. He was at Texas.
But is Texas a top job?
I think so. They have all the resources. They're in the SEC. They got money for days.
I'm so sick of hearing about the damn SEC.
Dude, they're good at basketball.
You've been down in Atlanta too long.
Man, I've been SEC football hater since '82.
Okay, so all right. So ESPN.
But I love watching SEC basketball. I can't even lie. It's just a different level.
I mean, it's good. Don't get me wrong, but let's see what happens. But I think it's either like a Drew or a Cronin or like a Ben McCollum I've talked about. I think somebody that's more off the radar. Mark Byington at Vanderbilt we didn't mention, but I don't think anybody really knows anything. And quite frankly, it's not going to pick up steam until the season is over. So hopefully that's not indirectly Saturday. If Indiana doesn't win Saturday, if they don't get the job done, then they absolutely have to win the Big Ten tournament or at least make it to probably Sunday. Is that fair? That gives you a losing record in conference. I don't think you can survive that home loss. Like the whole season's riding on this win or loss. Does that mean?
You know what that means?
What?
That means I'm going to have to get my Modelos going early.
No, you got to get them on ice. And then when you win, it's much sweeter. Drinking during the game, it's a no-win situation.
I gotta get before the game. We gotta get going.
Gotta get going. It's 3:45 tip. 3:45 CBS Assembly Hall Elimination Chamber. Indiana, Ohio State in a brawl for it all. Whoa. See, I even got excited about that. Lost my microphone there. So any final thoughts? Coaching search, Big Ten, last night's game, or we just heading straight forward to a little Hoosier Court happy hour about 6:15 on Saturday evening? Can we get that done? Or do you have a pickleball game?
No, not that I know of. I wish. How many Toppin brothers are there? Is the guy at Texas Tech, is he related to the other Toppins?
I don't know. With that, any final thoughts, Ben? We'll keep this right at 30 minutes. Send them home happy. And, we're right back at this in 72 hours?
72 hours. Hopefully the team gets some rest. They looked a little winded out there.
Yeah, it looked long West Coast road trip. I'm glad they split. And hey, we got to get it on Saturday. Everybody, thanks for hanging in there with us. Hopefully this all comes out good on the audio side. At Hoosier Court Pod, all the social media platforms, give us a follow, listen, what have you. And we'll be back here on Saturday night to hopefully talk about Indiana making that next step towards the tournament. Or we'll just talk about the coaching search. One way or the other, we'll be drinking. See you all later.
Bye.